Hi, Dean.
Hi, Carrie. Good afternoon. Today, we're going to be talking about strategic outlook. I want to open the conversation by sharing something that we hear on a regular basis. Many executives that we work with say the same thing. Quote, my calendar is full, but I'm not sure we're actually moving forward or making any progress. Today, I want to unpack that a little bit with you. Why are so many leaders busy, but not necessarily strategic?
Such a great question. I think when we say something like strategic outlook, many people immediately think you've got to be at the executive level or senior VP level to have to worry about that. And that's not true at all. This can apply to independent contributors, managers, directors. Strategic outlook is for any leader that rewards urgency, not direction. And
Okay.
so these are the people that are excellent firefighters, but no one ever really taught them how to stop, step back, and then decide what forest they actually want to protect.
Okay. All right, so let's paint a real picture here. When you look at the executives that you coach, what does always busy but not moving forward look like in their week?
It's the leader that has 40 meetings back to back. They hit every deadline, right? So, yay for that. They are
Hmm.
jumping on every crisis. But if you ask them, what are you building for next year? There's a very long pause. Their team is exhausted. It's another indicator. And it's not because that work is hard, it's because it feels directionless.
Okay. So, what are some of the hidden costs? Because I imagine there has to be, right? Of living in that now and urgent mode.
Yeah, it's first and foremost burnout in your people, your best people for one.
Hmm.
Small solvable issues become real crises. Competitors quietly pass you by while you're stuck in reaction mode instead of strategic mode.
Hmm.
Innovation can become a someday project that you'll have time for, but you never actually really find the time.
Okay. So, you often use the phrase strategic outlook, and we use that a lot to kind of, but let's define it for a second. It's not a buzzword, right? What does it look like in real terms?
The analogy I used with one of our coaching clients was it's like seagull management when you're down in the weeds and you're digging versus when you're up flying above and can see the entire horizon. So
Did you say
strategic outlook,
seagull management?
yeah.
Okay. I
So
like that.
strategic dive bombing and coming up, dive bombing,
Right.
coming up, right?
All right.
Strategic outlook is the part where you're up and you have the habit of lifting your eyes from the
Yeah.
task in front of you and you're able to see what's coming next and then where you actually want to go. So it's not working harder. It's just making sure that the work you do is compounding towards the direction you want to go, towards that something meaningful.
Okay. So, all right. Let's be honest though. A lot of leaders, they hear that word strategy and then they think of a 3-day offsite, big slide deck, and then come back and nothing changes on Monday. So, what's different about what you're talking about?
I mean, that's the trap, right? They see strategy as an event or a skill, right? A lot of people will say, I'm very strategic in XYZ area, and other people I know will roll their eyes at that word alone. But what I'm
Yeah.
talking about is strategy as a daily filter. It shows up in weekly prioritization. It shows up in how you allocate resources. It shows up in whether you treat Tuesday afternoons as purely tactical or partially time for strategy work.
Okay. All right. So I know that you use a rather powerful process with your clients, and it includes what you describe as the three horizons, which are now, next, and later. Can you walk us through each of those kind of in plain language?
Yes. So the now is 0 to 90 days. It's execution, it's keeping commitments, it's hitting targets, it's keeping the lights on. Next is 3 to 12 months. In that phase, that's the repositioning. That's the how are you building capabilities? How are you building systems? And then what relationships are you working on that you know that you'll need soon? Not today, but very soon. And the third one later is 1 to 3 years from now. It's your direction and the bets where you wanna place them. It's where you want your function to be, your team to be, your organization to be in the market against market headwinds, and what would eventually derail you or transform you, and how are you staying ahead of.
Okay. So can I ask you to go a little bit deeper with a real world example of each? So same leader, same team. What does now, next, and later look like for them?
Okay, so now would be something like delivering this quarter's key projects and performance metrics. Next would be implementing a new platform and upskilling the team to be able to use it before a certain product expansion.
Okay.
Then later would be repositioning that function as a strategic growth engine instead of a cost center. So reshaping talent, looking at different partnerships, and then the operating model over the next couple of years.
Okay. So, what happens when the leader only focuses on horizon number one, the now?
They become world class at keeping up, but never at getting ahead. And so their calendar is full of work and it maintains today. It's great. It feels really good at the end of the day and the end of the week, even,
Hmm.
but it doesn't create a better tomorrow or next month or next year. And the future happens to them instead of happening through them.
Okay. All right. So, quick reality check. So, when leaders estimate their time split across those three horizons, what do they actually find out?
So what I hear from most is that in the now box, they say that they spend probably 60% of their time there.
Okay.
The next box, they spend probably about 30%, and they're looking at 10% of the later. So when we look at their calendar, there's a difference. So if you picture this as almost like a pyramid,
Hmm.
or we're trying to get it to a pyramid, and what it's at a triangle. So we're trying to get them to be able to see that the percentages aren't exactly where they think they are. So when we look at their calendars, what we're seeing is that it's closer to the 80% now. It's inverse,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe 18% is next, and then they're really only
2%.
focusing
Okay.
2% or so on the later. And that
Right.
the other thing is that 2% isn't protected. That 2%, the later,
Gets
is
canceled.
one of the first things to get canceled.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, what do you tell them when they see that?
Well, sometimes it's evident, sometimes they need somebody to help remind them that you're not leading strategically. You're managing tactically. And a lot of them already know that, and that's a pain point. They just don't know how to transition it. So there's no shame in that part. And this isn't an exercise where we want to judge or say, you're not doing this right. But what we're saying is we have to name it honestly. If later gets never gets meaningful time, then you're not really steering the ship. You're just sort of keeping your finger in the hole from keeping it from sinking. And that's going to stop you from sinking today, but it's not actually going to get you across the ocean.
All right. So, once the reality's on the table and they see where they stand, what's the practical first step? How do you help them translate that into something they can actually act on?
So we build them a now, next, and later map. It's pretty simple. It's a framework: now, next, and later
Okay.
for one area of responsibility. Maybe it's their team
Hmm.
or their organizational structure, or maybe it's a critical initiative that's coming up. But we list their top three now priorities, identify the next shifts coming in 3 to 12 months, and then sketch what success looks like in 1 to 3 years.
Okay. So, what changes when they actually see that in front of them?
It's not just a pretty diagram or back of a bar napkin scratching, right?
Okay.
What changes is they actually get clearer decisions. They
Okay.
can then ask, what horizon does this next thing, decision, or action that I'm about to take, what horizon does it support? They see where they're overinvested, where they're spending too much time,
Hmm.
and also underinvested in the next and later components. So there's an imbalance there that starts to show itself. They also see work that doesn't connect to any horizon. And that's really often the work that needs to stop. It might be something that's been passed down as a requirement from senior leadership. But if you
Hmm.
can't explain how it doesn't connect to the horizon, you can't defend against spending your time or your team's time in that work. So, really understanding how the now and how the next and how the later all connects gives you that ability to be able to see what work is meaningful and ties to that versus doesn't.
Okay. All right. So, can we get tactical for a minute?
Love
When you,
tech.
t- yeah, I know. We want to make sure we give people something to really actually do, right? Some action items. So, when you talk about making daily work add up, right? What questions do you want leaders asking themselves each week?
So questions like, which now items support my next and later? Where am
Okay.
I spending energy that doesn't connect to the desired future? And then what can I stop or delegate to create space for more strategic work? Am I balancing short term delivery with long term positioning? And those questions sound really simple, but those reflection points will tell you a lot about where you're spending your time, your effort, your energy, and where it could otherwise best be spent to even out those now, next, and later buckets.
There's a tension point here, though, right? Because a lot of listeners, I'm sure, are saying to themselves right now, you know what, Dean and Carrie, that sounds great, but my world is nothing but urgent. What do you say to them?
Yeah, the ones that say, "You really don't understand. I'm under all this pressure. I have these things against me, or these
Hmm.
other people don't really give me the space to." Okay, well, I say that urgency will always fill the space you give it. If you do not intentionally protect time for strategic thinking, then it will never magically appear for you. It doesn't do that. That's not how it works. So,
Mm,
strategic outlook is built by the boundaries that you set, not by the hope that you'll find.
interesting. Great way to put that. Okay. So we build this to a kind of specific commitment, right? This 30-day plan. Can you expand on that a little bit more? How do we get that started?
Yeah, absolutely. So once we see the gap between where they are and where they want to be,
Hmm.
we choose one strategic shift, right? Just one. Then
Okay.
we define one single concrete step that they'll take in the next 30 days to close that gap.
Okay.
At that point, it has to be small, but it has to be doable. At the same token, it has to be meaningful enough to matter.
Can you give us an example of a 30-day move a listener might commit to right after listening to this episode?
Yes, book a reoccurring 90-minute meeting weekly that blocks dedicated time to only now, next, and later work. So maybe it's like launching a pilot to build a capability that you know you're going to need next year, or
Okay.
finally saying no to an initiative that doesn't align with the later direction. Then use that reclaimed time to be able to invest in something that does.
Okay. And you literally have them put it on their calendar, right?
Yes, if it's not on the calendar, it does not exist. So we schedule it, we protect it like any critical meeting, and then
Hmm.
you track the progress on that weekly. That's how small moves start to compound.
Okay. So before we close, what's the experience of working for a reactive leader versus a forward looking leader,
Aside from anybody that's ever done that wanting to quit,
right?
with a reactive leader, everything is urgent. Everything is a major priority, and the priorities change constantly. And then people always feel like they're behind. Surprises become crises. It's like always
Mhm.
mode. You're also always on eggshells. And eventually the team burns out from chaos. They're drained. They're exhausted. They're not drained or exhausted because the work is challenging or it's hard, draining because it's just really frantic and busy. With a
Mhm.
forward looking leader, the team feels really clear and they feel really focused, and then changes are anticipated and managed. So direction is steady, even if the environment isn't. And then people grow because the stretch in that case then is intentional. It's kind of like running a marathon, even through, a rainstorm. You still know where you're going and that you're going to get there. You just have to go through some muck in the peripheral, but you still know where the end result is. And that's one of the biggest differences is the mile markers, when the water stations are coming, and you know where that end finish line is.
So, if I hear you correctly, this isn't just about better planning, it's about the experience that you create for your team.
Yeah, and it's not strategic outlook. It's not a status. It's not a check the box responsibility, or like we said in the beginning, strategic outlook isn't even a skill set you can possess. It's a practice. So every time you lift your head from today's fire and ask, where are we heading? And does this choice actually move us in that direction? Then you're exercising that muscle. If you do that consistently, then you stop being at the mercy of the future and you start shaping it.
Terrific. All right. So, if you're listening and you saw yourself in that overloaded calendar, here's your challenge. Check me on this, Carrie. First, we want them to estimate their now, next, and later split. Then map one area across the three horizons and commit to one 30-day move. And to your point, then put it on the calendar so it's protected. And that's how you start leading for now, next, and later instead of just surviving this week.
Yes. And remember, this is not about perfection, it's about intention. Your team can feel the difference between a leader who's reacting and a leader who's out front shaping what comes next. So when you have that strategic outlook, again, you don't have to be a certain title or certain executive level. You can have a strategic outlook at any level in an organization. As long as you're looking out front and shaping what's next, you are creating the future. The future isn't happening to you.
Terrific. Carrie, thanks. This has been a great, enlightening conversation and looking forward to our next one and the next series in the Inner Nine.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Carrie. All right.